Welcome back to the channel. In this video I'll be reviewing the VIOFO A229 Pro and A229 Plus dash cameras. These are upgrades to the pre-existing A229 Duo dash camera, which used the older Sony STARVIS image sensors, and these new dash cameras use Sony STARVIS 2 image sensors in the front and rear cameras. Both the Pro and Plus dash camera models offer HDR support for the front, rear, and interior cameras. Both the Pro and Plus dash cameras are offered in a 3-channel configuration with a front, rear, and interior camera, a 2-channel configuration with a front and rear camera, and a single-channel configuration with just the front camera. In this video, I will show you what's in the box for the A229 Pro 3-channel and the A229 Plus 3-channel dash cameras. I'll show you a feature comparison chart showing the features of the older A229 Duo with the two new models, the A229 Pro and Plus. And then I'll show you the results from a power consumption test, which allows you to figure out how long each dash camera might run in parking mode and let you plan out what kind of battery pack you might need for parking mode operations. I'll give you some sample footage in this video, but I will have several other videos that I'll have links for those videos in the video description section so you can see what kind of video that these dash cameras generate, and then I'll give you my final thoughts. So let's get into it. This video contains several video chapters. If there's one of particular interest to you, jump to the time index listed on the screen here, or expand the video description section and click on the link down there. Hope you enjoy the video. Let's go through a quick unboxing of the VIOFO A229 Pro 3-channel dash camera and the A229 Plus 3-channel dash camera. Taking a look at the features on the side of the box, it mentions the Sony STARVIS 2 image sensors being used for the front and rear cameras. It also mentions the use of smart voice control, which was added beginning with the A119 Mini 2 and more recent dash cameras like these two. We have the fact that the memory cards are now supported up to a 512 gigabyte memory capacity. Inside the box we have a plastic insert that shows the proper cable routing for the various cables. After removing the cable routing sheet, we can see the front dash camera on the right and the rear and interior cameras on the left side. Below the dash cameras, we have the user manual, the warranty information card, the review for installation, which basically says to test things before you install it, and 2 static stickers that make it easier to remove the dash cameras from the window glass in your vehicle if you decide to use them. Here are the cameras taken out of their packaging. The front camera looks virtually identical except for the labeling in the lower right corner. The interior and rear cameras offered for these two cameras are identical, but they are not compatible with the earlier version, the A229 Duo. The interior camera has 4 infrared LEDs to illuminate the passenger compartment at night, and also has a light sensor on the end opposite of the cable connection to allow it to know better when to enable the infrared LEDs if you had those set to automatic in the firmware settings. Here's the cable connection end for both the interior and rear cameras. As you can see, both of them have a USB-C connection port for their cable on the camera end, but on the front camera end, the rear camera has a USB-C connection on that end, and there's a 3.5mm jack and on the interior cable that plugs into the front camera on the side. This is the new quad mode GPS module that's provided with the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras. Note that it is not compatible with the A229 Duo GPS module. If you're upgrading from the A229 Duo, you must replace the GPS module on the windshield with the one provided with this dash camera. Looking at this side of the dash camera, you'll notice that the external mic from the A229 Duo has been repurposed for the interior camera cable connection port. You will also notice that the rear camera cable connection port from the A229 Duo has been removed from this side and moved to the other side as a USB-C connection. I'm going to compare the weight of the dash cameras. The A229 Duo front camera with the GPS module weighed 143 grams, and the weight of the A229 Pro front camera with the GPS module is 172 grams. That's 29 grams heavier than the A229 Duo, and that's mainly due to the larger heatsink inside to better dissipate the heat that it generates while operating. And the A229 Plus dash camera with the GPS module had a similar weight increase of 26 grams to 169 grams for the same reasons of a larger heatsink to better dissipate the heat generated while operating. Here are the additional items in the box with the A229 Plus dash camera. You have replacement adhesive pads for the front and interior and rear cameras. You have a USB-A to USB-C data cable, and above that we have the VIOFO D5000 cigarette lighter port adapter, and above that we have the USB-A to USB-C power cable, and to the right of that we have the installation tool to help you route the cable through the vehicle. And in the upper right we have the interior camera cable. It is just over 1 meter in length, so depending on your installation location, they may be too long or too short. There are options available for ordering different lengths on the VIOFO website. And then just below that we have the USB-C to USB-C cable for the rear camera. And here are the items that come in the box with the A229 Pro dash camera. And in this particular case, the only difference is the fact that it does include a CPL filter for the front dash camera. The A229 Plus does not include that, and you must buy that as an optional accessory. I'd like to point out again that the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras come with a quad mode GPS module. That module is compatible only with the Pro and Plus dash cameras. If you're upgrading from an A229 Duo dash camera, you'll have one that looks identical to it, but is not functionally the same, so you must replace the one that you're using for the Duo if you're upgrading to these newer models. In this section of the video, I'm going to show you my feature comparison chart for the A229 Pro, A229 Plus, and the A229 Duo, which is the original version of the A229 series dash camera. I'll point out some of the major differences between these three dash camera models, but I'll let you pause the video and check out each dash camera on a feature-by-feature basis. One of the first differences is the fact that the A229 Pro is using a different Novatech processor than the other two. The Pro version has a 96529, and the Plus and Duo have the 96580 processor. The second major difference, of course, is the fact that the A229 Duo was a 2-channel only dash camera, and the Pro and Plus are 3-channel capable. In the lens section, you'll note that the front lens is rated with a field of view of 140 degrees on all three models, but I've noticed in testing that the A229 Plus actually has a narrower field of view horizontally, so you might want to check that out in the videos that I show for samples in this video and in my other videos on the channel. Down in the section for high dynamic range support, you'll note that the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras do have HDR support for all three cameras that are included in the product, and the A229 Duo did not have HDR support. It had WDR wide dynamic range support, although the A229 Duo WDR feature really wasn't all that effective in my testing. You'll be far more pleased with the HDR support in the two new models. And the last feature I'd like to point out in this chart is the fact that the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras have voice commands, where the A229 Duo did not. You'll find that to be a very useful and convenient feature. The only major difference on this screen, other than pricing that you'll see, is in the accessory section. The A229 Pro includes a press-on CPL filter for the front dash camera. It is an optional feature for the Plus version, and that was also an optional feature for the A229 Duo. They're all the same CPL filter for all three models. The other notable difference in the accessories is the fact that the A229 Duo supported an external microphone, and that connection port area has been repurposed on the case of the camera for the interior camera connection. So there's no external microphone support with the new models. In this section of the video, I show my power consumption test results for the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras in a 3-channel, in two different 2-channel configurations, and a single-channel configuration. I'm going to describe now the various sections of my spreadsheet so you understand how I'm presenting the data. At the very top, I have the description of the dash camera, including what's powering the dash camera and any firmware information available for that configuration. On the left-hand side, I have the configuration column showing you the mode of operation, like NR for normal recording or PM for parking mode, and the resolution configuration. Moving to the right, I have a group of 3 columns, which are the min, max, and average milliamp values as observed on a Fluke 117 multimeter, and that's at a steady voltage of 12.6 volts. The average milliamp value is the value used in calculations throughout the remainder of the spreadsheet and other spreadsheets that take data from this spreadsheet. Moving to the right again, we have a group of 3 columns, which are the watt values calculated from the milliamp values from the previous 3 columns. Moving to the right, this next column is the number of amps at 5 volts that the dash camera configuration is requiring. This is a calculated value from the watts columns for max and average values. This is to make sure the dash camera is not drawing more amps than the cigarette lighter adapter or hardware kit can provide in that particular configuration. The max amps at 5 volts for the hardware kit is 2 amps, and the max amps for the cigarette lighter adapter at 5 volts is 2.4 amps. Next, we have the recording mode column. This notes the recording mode, such as normal for normal recording or PM for parking mode, and the bit rate that's selected in the firmware configuration for the dash camera for that test run. Moving to the right, we arrive at the notes column. In this column, I'll note information such as bitrate of videos that were created in this particular test run, the length of the video and the parking mode configuration if appropriate, and the transition times into and out of that parking mode. In the lower left, I have a series of rows that identify special information about this particular configuration, the testing information, and any of the abbreviations that I use should be defined in this particular section. And finally, we have the lower right section, which is an estimated parking mode runtime based on the average power consumption for each of the available parking modes for this dash camera. Please keep in mind this is for the firmware version installed as stated in the screen, and it can vary from firmware version to firmware version, and it can also vary based on operating temperature. And the other thing to keep in mind is the hardware kit does include a low voltage cutoff feature, which may terminate the power to the dash camera before the full battery pack capacity has been utilized. That completes the explanation of the various sections on this screen. I'll go through each of the configurations for the dash camera and I'll present them for 5 seconds. You can pause the video so you can take a detailed look at each of those, and then I'll show you a summary of the video bit rates, and then I'll move on to the A229 Plus information with that same info. In this section, I'm going to show you some video examples day and night, and I'm also going to give you an audio test here in a moment and give you a couple of examples of some interesting driving by other drivers at the end. This is an audio test of the VIOFO A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras. This is an audio test of the recording capabilities with the dash cameras mounted on the front windshield to the right of the center rear view mirror. The A229 Plus is closest to my voice, and the A229 Pro is just to the right of that. So this completes the test of the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras. If you would like to check out more sample footage from the VIOFO A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras, look in this video's description section. I have 2 playlist links down there that have additional sample footage videos. Please keep in mind some of the older sample videos are using older firmware, and the image quality will improve if you use the current firmware for the dash camera. And now here's a couple more quick examples of some interesting drivers I encountered. The first one, someone making an illegal U-turn, almost hitting my car, and just a few minutes later there's a driver that just can't wait to get on the freeway no matter who's in his way. In this section, I'll be giving you my final thoughts about the VIOFO A229 Pro and A229 Plus dash cameras by going over a list of pros and cons. I like to give photo credit to some of the images that I'm using in this particular section to VIOFO, which I obtained these images from their website. Starting off my list of pros for these dash cameras is the fact that both are using brand new Sony STARVIS 2 image sensors for the front and rear cameras. The Pro is using the IMX678 image sensor, and the rear camera has the IMX675 image sensor. And then for the Plus dash camera, we have the IMX675 being used in both dash cameras. Both the Pro and Plus dash cameras support up to 3 channels. The A229 Duo dash camera, the original version of the A229 series, only supported a front and rear camera. Please note that the interior and rear cameras supplied with the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras are the same cameras. If you're upgrading from the A229 Duo dash camera, the rear camera is not compatible with the Pro or Plus dash cameras. The Pro and Plus dash cameras use a new quad mode GPS module. This module is not compatible with the unit provided with the earlier A229 Duo dash camera. So if you're upgrading from an A229 Duo, make sure you replace the windshield GPS module with the one provided with the Pro or Plus model that you just purchased. Please note that some of the images that I obtained from the VIOFO website will state A229 Pro for the model that it applies to, but that information applies to both the Pro and Plus dash camera models. Moving on to the next Pro for the A229 Pro dash camera over the A139 Pro in 3-channel configuration is that the A139 Pro with 3 channels was only able to operate in a 24 frames per second mode. The A229 Pro with the IMX678, same image processor as the A139 Pro, but that problem of being limited to 24 frames per second has been eliminated, and you can record at 30 frames per second. One of the biggest improvements for the A229 series for the Pro and Plus dash cameras is the fact that it supports HDR, but it also supports HDR or high dynamic range for all 3 video cameras included in the installation. The A229 Pro and Plus HDR feature is constantly being improved. The image quality has been improved from the initial release to this point in early December 2023. Make sure you update your A229 Pro or Plus dash cameras with the latest firmware release that's available on the VIOFO website to make sure you get the best HDR image quality. The interior camera is using the Sony STARVIS, not a STARVIS 2, IMX307 image sensor, and it does a decent job at capturing daytime footage, and it does an okay job at night. The 4 infrared LEDs do an okay job, but not a great job of illuminating the passenger compartment, especially near the front. It does miss some because the field of view for the infrared LEDs isn't as wide as I would like it to be. And in extremely dark situations, it does seem to get a little fuzzy at night, but it does much better than the older A139 Pro interior camera. The interior camera has a light sensor, which it uses to measure the ambient light in your passenger compartment to know when to switch between daytime and nighttime mode, and you'll actually hear an audible clicking noise when it switches modes. One thing to be aware of with the light sensor at night, if you have a vehicle behind your vehicle and the headlamps from that vehicle are shining into your passenger compartment and hitting that light sensor on the interior camera, you will hear the audible click of the camera going from nighttime mode to daytime mode, and when the headlamps are no longer shining on it, you'll hear it click again to go back into nighttime mode. Just be aware that that clicking noise may occur while driving at night for that particular reason. One of the nice additions to the A229 Pro and Plus dash camera models is the fact that it has intelligent voice control, which lets you use voice commands to control the operations of the dash camera. The next item on the list is voice notifications. This is not a new feature to many of the VIOFO dash cameras. It's just nice that it uses voice announcements to state when certain things occur during the operation of the dash camera, not relying just on beeping to let you know when something's going on with the dash camera. The next item on the list is actually three things. It's the three different parking mode types supported by the A229 Pro, Plus, and Duo dash camera models. First one being auto event detection, which is a motion-based parking mode, and it's a buffered parking mode, meaning you'll include the 15 seconds before the triggering motion and the 30 seconds after the triggering motion in the video files. And the impacts that occur while in that parking mode will also be buffered 15 seconds before the impact and 30 seconds after. Videos associated with impact events in this parking mode will be locked and placed in the read-only directory. And the next parking mode type is time-lapse recording. It will continuously record at the configured frames per second. You can go 1 frame per second up to 10 frames per second, but there's no audio recorded in this parking mode. If an impact is detected in this mode, the currently recording video will be locked and placed into a read-only directory. And lastly, we have the low bitrate mode, which will record at a reduced bitrate, but it will include audio, and if an impact occurs in this mode, it will lock that video by placing it into the read-only directory. Next on the list, the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras support 2.4 GHz and 5 GHz Wi-Fi connections. A 5 GHz Wi-Fi connection will allow you to download videos from the camera at up to 4 times faster than a 2.4 GHz connection. And the last item on this list of pros for the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras is the fact that the user interface has been greatly improved over the interface that was available in the A229 Duo dash camera. Also, it's more user-friendly when it comes to detecting when cameras are disconnected and connected, so it's a big improvement over the original A229 Duo. Now let's move on to my list of cons for the A229 Pro and Plus dash cameras. When you purchase the A229 Pro or Plus dash cameras, there is no memory card provided in the box with the dash camera. You must purchase one separately or at the time of purchase of the dash camera. Before you purchase a memory card, make sure you review the list of recommended cards that VIOFO has put together and purchase one of the recommended cards from that list. Moving on to the next item, I would like to see an improvement to the intelligent voice control feature where you use voice commands to control the operations of the dash camera. Right now you simply say the command phrase and it will do that operation, but there are times where random statements by passengers or sometimes on the radio, it might get something similar and a command will get executed that wasn't intended. So I like to see a guard phrase to be spoken by the person and then an acknowledgement tone and then you actually say the command. I hear this is not a likely improvement to be done since it's not easy to do, but I would like to see it done anyway. It's going to make it a better feature overall, in my opinion. Moving on to the last entry in my list of cons, it isn't necessarily a con, but more of something to note. If you're going to be installing the HK4 hardwiring kit for the power source for these dash cameras, and you're connecting the HK4 to your vehicle's fuse box, you will need 2 fuse tabs to accomplish that task. The HK4 itself does not come with any fuse tabs. VIOFO is starting to offer the HK4 in a bundle with some fuse tabs, so you might use that option to obtain the fuse tabs. Or if you've already purchased the HK4, make sure that you purchase fuse tabs that are appropriate to the fuse types in your vehicle so you can successfully install the HK4 to provide power to these dash cameras. I hope you found this video has provided you the information to allow you to make an informed decision of whether the A229 Pro or Plus dash cameras are the right one for you. If you've decided you want to make a purchase of one of these dash cameras, please consider looking in this video's description section. There will be affiliate links where you can purchase the dash camera, and I will make a small commission on that purchase. It's a great way of supporting the channel at no extra cost to you. There are also discount codes present in the video description section to save you some money as well. I will also have additional links in the video description section to videos with sample footage from the A229 Pro, Plus, and Duo dash cameras. Thanks for coming to the channel and checking out this video. I truly appreciate you watching it all the way to the end. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.